Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So in this week's video, I'm going to be showing you a product research technique that I just used to find the products in front of you right now that for some sellers is doing over 20k a month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you three different things. Number one, we're going to take a look at this product first without showing you the product itself so you can understand the stats and why potentially this product appeals to me. Then I'm going to show you the product itself. And then number three, I'm going to show you the actual product research technique that I used last night to find this product, and only took me about 10 minutes to find it as well. So first, let's take a look at this export from Helium-10. So I found this product on Amazon, but I wanted to show you it without the photos or without showing you the product itself so that I could talk you through the figures. As a lot of new sellers don't do this. They don't really understand what they're looking at, and they don't understand whether this product is a good fit for them or not. So let me talk you through all of the most important data that you'll see in most sales estimators tools. So this is from X-Ray from Helium-10. I'm going to talk you through the columns that I focus on, and then the other columns you see, I generally ignore, the ones you'll see in the actual piece of software rather than in the export. So from left to right, the first thing you want to see is the product selling at a good price point. Now, what do I mean by a good price point? For brand new sellers, at least £15, and if you're a VAT registered seller, at least £20. Anything below that, and you're going to really struggle to make a profit on Amazon. And what you want to see is lots of evidence of existing sellers selling at or above the price point you are targeting. So we can see on the left-hand side, almost all of these listings are at £15 or above. Yes, generally speaking, the ones at the top are slightly cheaper and the more expensive ones are a bit further down the page, but the more expensive ones are selling as well. So as we can see from looking at the sales column, there is demand that runs well deep on this first page. And this is with the sponsored results filtered out as well. These are only organic results. So what this says to me is that when customers come to this niche, they're not just going to easily accept the first few products that Amazon shows them. Otherwise, all of the demand would be up here. But instead, we're seeing it spread out across the page, which this suggests if you come to this niche with a unique design, that customers are going to look about for unique designs, and potentially, even if you get ranked maybe down here, you've still got a really good chance of making sales. It's not a niche where everyone's selling the same product again and again and again, and you need to be in the top few positions to make sales. So we're seeing a reasonable price point, and we're seeing demand run really deep. With many sellers, if I had to pick a landing zone, which I see is at least 5 sellers selling at a similar price point and a similar number of units per month, I would say if you targeted probably around 300 units per month, we've got one there at 303, 240 at the very top, 261, 278, 255, 356. If you ended up somewhere between 250 and 350 units per month sold, I think you've got a good chance of getting to the top 10 to 20 organic results and achieving similar results to what you can see here on screen. And you can see how the revenue varies, largely based on the price point. So the cheaper products generally will have a lower revenue, but it's always a combination of price multiplied by sales, and that gives you your revenue. You can see here you've got actually a GB seller. So someone in the UK is selling at $18.99, which is a healthy price point for a UK seller, and they're doing over 20 grand of revenue per month. And you've got a Chinese seller here selling at $62.99, only doing 387 units, but that doesn't matter. That's still doing £24,000 of revenue. Now, if you're a new seller, I'm not saying come into this niche and target that. I would target a much more obtainable target, which for this niche, if I was picking a landing zone, somewhere between 6,000 probably to 8,000 in sales, as I think 200 to 300 units per month at the price point I was talking about, at least 15 to 20 pounds, then you've got a good chance of hitting 6 grand or potentially a bit more. So when you look at these three columns, I think most people would agree that so far this is an interesting niche. It would certainly make you a shortlist, and maybe you want to deep dive on this once you've done your first session of shortlisting other products. We've then got the seller country. So I like to see at least a couple of sellers from the UK. If it is exclusively CN listings, that normally means there isn't enough margin left in the niche and the Chinese sellers have driven the price point down too low. But we're seeing 1, 2, 3, actually 3 of the top 4 sellers as GB sellers, 5, 6, 7. So this says to me, this is real evidence that there are GB sellers making money in this niche. Fees, what I would say as a general rule of thumb, your fees should be about 30% or so, or around about a third of your overall selling price if the figures are likely to stack up. So this first product that's selling at $12.99 and the fees are £5.26. Now these guys are going to be struggling to make money, because if you're selling at $12.99 and you've got £5.26 in fees, plus you've got the cost of the goods themselves, the import cost into the UK, so your freight cost, your customs duty, your VAT, they're going to be making a very, very small amount of money on those sales. Whereas these guys at £19.99 and fees of £6.11, that's less than a third of their overall price. These guys have got a healthy margin to work with, so I think they'll be making much better profit than these guys. So you want to aim to have your fees around about a third of your overall selling price. And what we're seeing in this niche is lots of evidence of people with fees around the £5 to £6 mark and price points above £15, which suggests that stacks up with what I was just suggesting. The next thing we're looking at is the ratings, which is your actual review score, not the quantity of reviews, but the actual score. And no one is averaging 4.8 or above. Now 4.8 would be displayed as 5 stars on Amazon. Anything below 4.7 would be shown as 4.5 stars. So most of these products, this is 4.5, 4.5, 4, 4, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. You can certainly compete with these. Getting a product on Amazon that averages a 4.5 star is relatively doable. Getting a product that averages 5 star is near enough impossible. So I don't like to see competition that has 5 stars, as I know it's going to be difficult to compete with. Review counts, what I like to see is at least a couple of sellers with either double figure or low 3-figure review count. So it shows it's evidence of reasonably new sellers getting listed in these top results. And we've got one at the top at 43 reviews, one here at 47, 68, 112, 138. We've then got size tier, which is which tier from a fulfillment fee perspective this product would go into. Avoid all oversized niches, or as a rule of thumb for new sellers, avoid oversized niches, as it's going to cost you a lot more from a fulfillment perspective, and then your fees are unlikely to be a third or less of your overall sale price. So we've got lots in here as standard or small parcels, which is a very promising sign. And as we can see in the fulfillment column, pretty much all of these are FBA. Now, if you're in a niche where the fees are quite high and the product is big and bulky, you'll probably see a lot more MFN, which is the actual seller sending them out as FBM products rather than Amazon managing it from their fulfillment centers. And then you've got the dimensions and the weight, which basically back up what you're seeing in the size tier. These are relatively small and light products. That's why the fees are nice and low. And then finally, we have the creation date. I like to see evidence in the past 12 months of at least a few listings entering into the top 10 to 15 organic results to show that this niche is still enterable, if that's even a word, for new sellers to get into at this time. There's some niches where the stats look great, but there's been no new sellers for the past 5 to 6 years, which can be an indication that it's difficult to get ranked in those top results. And we've got quite a bit of evidence here of listings in 2023. So last year we've got quite a number of new listings, and also some more established listings from 2014, 2020, 22, 2019, etc. So yes, maybe there are maybe a few more new listings than I'd like to see. Sometimes when you see lots of new listings in the past 12 months, it can indicate there's kind of a churn of listings. But seeing these older listings here at 2014, 2019, 2006 will probably give me enough confidence that this isn't necessarily a red flag. So that's how I would analyze these statistics. Now let me take it over to Amazon and show you the actual product and see what you guys think of it and whether you can spot perhaps the one red flag which would put off some new sellers. So these are bedside lamps. And surprisingly, it has a rather huge search volume. So if we just go to Search Expander, it should show us that the search volume for bedside lamps is 21,500, and plus there's plenty of other search volume for related search terms as well in terms of sets of 2, etc. Bedside lamps over 20,000 search volume is rather high, and at the time of recording this video it is May, so we're just coming into the warmer months, which if we just check the seasonality very quickly, so let me bring up X-ray from helium-10. If we check the seasonality, this is a is a reasonably seasonal product. As we can see here, it does pick up in the winter months, as you'd expect. In the darker months, people are going to be more likely to be purchasing lights for their bedside table. It's pretty predictable. And if we go over the all-time view, we can see that the peaks that we get during the winter months. Now, what this can mean is actually during the summer is a good time to launch these products when demand is a bit lower. It's easier to enter the niche, but you have to plan ahead that if things do go well and you launch the product and you end up launching in July and August, that you order in inventory for the increased demand that's going to come from probably September and October onwards, and then you reduce your orders as you come back round to the summer in the following year. So usually I avoid super seasonal products for new sellers, but as long as you can predict the demand and this is going to be fairly predictable, then it's not necessarily a red flag. And the actual stats here just match what I just showed you in Excel. The only potential red flag for new sellers is that this is an electronics product, which means there are a few more hoops to jump through. There are some additional documentation you're going to have to provide to Amazon to be approved to sell these types of products. Now, when you actually look at this niche, although I said earlier that these products aren't all samey, I do kind of get the impression from these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 first organic results do look very samey. They're just a canvas shade with a different style base. And I think that's why the demand is spread out quite well. As you go down the niche, the designs start to change a bit. And I think if you introduced your own unique design into this niche, providing it had widespread appeal, there is the potential to do well in this niche. I don't think it's as price sensitive as maybe these top results suggest, because although these are selling at £15 or so, I think if someone genuinely saw a nice lamp that they really like the look of, for example, these guys, maybe it's a bit of an extreme example, at $62.99. Let's see how many these guys are actually selling at $62.99 per month. And these guys are estimated to be selling just under 400 units per month. So they're going to be making pretty healthy profits in this niche, despite the fact some sellers in this niche are selling at a much lower price point. And I'm not saying come onto Amazon and sell a product at £60, but potentially you could come into this niche and at least ask for £20. And if you've got a really nice design, a unique design, you could push towards £25, £30, I think, in this niche. So with that said, I'm personally not going to be doing anything with this niche as I'm super busy with other products at the moment. So feel free to look into this yourself. How did I find this? This is the key to this whole video. How am I finding these products that other people just don't seem to be able to find? So I'm going to give you a free technique that you can use, and it's super simple. It's super simple. I was doing this last night for about an hour, and not only did I come across this product, I come across a number of other products that I know are viable, as they're products I've seen others selling for the past year or two. So I know this technique works. So what I want you to do initially is come up with what I'm going to call just a generic search term. Now, a generic search term is a search term that's going to return unrelated products in the search results. So for example, let me try and give you an example. If we were doing it based on room, you could maybe search for just kitchen, or maybe just search for office. For example, to find the lamps, I was searching bedroom, and then there's some additional steps you can take once you get there. But let me give you some other suggestions. So instead of the rooms in your house, it might be interests you have, or it might be particular sports that you like doing. For example, you might do gym, or you might do cycling. Or if you're maybe doing gifts, you might be doing gifts for men, or gifts for women, or wedding gifts. Whatever it is, all you're looking for is a search term that's going to return lots of different products. So I don't want it just to return lamps. I want it to return hundreds of different products, and then we can move on to step 2 of this technique. So I'm just going to put in bedroom for the purposes of this example. And you can see in the search results, we have a huge selection of different products that are going to be in all sorts of different categories, selling at all sorts of price points. So on the left-hand side, you have 2 choices. The first is you can choose a additional subcategory if you want, or you can just go straight to the price filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this £20 to £30. Now there are going to be tens of thousands of products when you do this. So potentially you might want to do this in smaller increments. You might want to do £20 to £25 and just go through this, because you could spend hours in one niche doing this. So I'm going to do £20 to £25 and click go. Now what you can also do is then use X-Ray from Helium 10 to actually filter these, or filter up to 2 pages of results at a time. So you haven't got to go through them all individually. So launch X-Ray, go to the filter section and hide the sponsored results as we always do. Then scroll to the bottom, and there is a link for load more, and that will load the second page of results. And once you've done the first 2 pages of results, go back to Amazon, go to page 3, and then do pages 3 and 4, and so on, until you get to the point where there's actually the products that you're looking at aren't making that many sales. So we've got lots of products here, and actually within X-Ray we can apply some more filters. So I'm only interested in products that are selling maybe 100 to 400 units per month. Let's click apply, and this is going to shorten that list further. So now all of a sudden I've got lots of different products to look at that I know are selling at the £20 to £25 price point, although for some reason here Amazon has returned a couple that are a bit more expensive, and they've got sales at the sort of level I would be targeting as well. And it's just a case of going through these products to see what they are and to see whether anything jumps out. And this is how I found the bedside table lamps last night. Like I say, within about 10 minutes of looking at this particular niche. And it's a really great way of finding different products that you maybe wouldn't have thought of, or if you've exhausted other techniques and just want to try something different, this is a really helpful technique. Now, you do obviously need a sales estimator tool to do this second part of the process and do your analysis. So if you do want to use Helium 10, we've got the usual discount codes, which are FBA Elite 20, and that will save you 20% off for the first 6 months. Or you can use FBA Elite 10, that will save you 10% off forever, or use either code, pay annually, and that will save you 25% off for the year. And that's the cheapest way to pay for Helium 10. Now, if you're interested in the FBA Elite course, there is a link in the pinned top comment. But if you want to get started with Amazon FBA and you're not sure what to do next and you don't want to invest any money in a course or mentorship or anything like that, I've got a full step-by-step checklist. It is absolutely free. It will show you everything you need to do to make your first £100,000. I'm going to pop up that video now, and I'll see you guys over there.